Welcome to a deeper dive into bill of material and central warehouse structures in SIA Advisor. My name is Craig and I'll be talking you through this concept inside SIA Advisor, and hopefully by the end of this you'll get a bit of a better understanding of how the bill of material structure works and how this links through to a central warehouse structure as well. So to start off, let's take a typical item that's supplied from an individual store to the general market. At that level, let's call it small branch 2. A finished good item is simply sold to the customer base. You would have your standard sort of policy setting, your forecasting, your ordering type of principles taking place at this level. One of the key things we need to understand at this level is that the policy settings will result in a required order which is calculated for this item month by month, day by day into the future for the next year. From this level over here, we can get a projected view of a required demand netting off the existing orders, the existing customer orders that are owed to customers, and any other demand streams that need to be taken into account for the product at the store level. The net effect on top of that is then a series of orders, and this requirement over here is what needs to be rolling through to a central store. So at this level over here, we've got a bunch of orders. Here's a list of orders. Let's make a mental note of 149 being required to be ordered on the 5th of April, and that just is a number that we'll have a look at later as we flow through. When we look further up the screen here, we see that this product is supplied by the central store. In normal items that are just purchased and supplied out of a location, you'll see the supplier code over here, but in this case we see it is supplied by another internal store, being a central store. Just as a note, that indicator needs to be carried through from your ERP system as an indicator telling us that this product is supplied into site. When we roll through to the central store level now, we can see that this product is now at the central store has got an additional demand stream showing on the top here, and we see the normal sales and forecast sort of view here, but we see a W line as well. The W line indicates requirement for other warehouses, and if we scroll down to the bottom over here, we also see that the central warehouse tab is highlighted. If I click on that, I get a view on a requirement for this product rolling through into the future for every single one of the stores that's responsible for. That small branch 1 that we looked at earlier with a requirement on the 5th of April, there's its demand of 149 required for the 5th of April. It has a further requirement in April for another 187, and you can see the total demand coming through. What's really great about this is that you can very quickly slice and dice and sort and find out where's a big demand coming from. So if I have a big demand stream coming through from a store and I have a multitude of different stores, I can really just sort the month where that big demand comes through and find the biggest requirement coming through and then drill in and understand where that's come from. This item has an interesting twist though. It's also a bill of material item. We can see that by the indicator that there's a bill of material demand stream on it. So what we see here is this product rolls through as a requirement through to all its raw material items, and here's a recipe for this bill of material structure. To know what rolls through to the next level, let's first have a look at the projection screen here. And we'll notice at this level over here, there's a bit more lumpy sort of demand because bill of material requirements are typically, central warehouse requirements are typically more discrete quantities that get taken at a time rather than a constant 1 a day, 2 a day type of demand that would flow through a store. So we can see there's a big order in production already. That's going to last up to a certain point, but we're going to have a requirement into the future. And if I drop down the orders view over here, I get a view that says we're going to need to order on the 1st of July this quantity for that arrival for production. These are additional production requirements that are being calculated at this level. So using that information, that demand is then blown through the bill of material structure to the next level down in the bill of material. And if I pick on any of the raw material items, 1 level down, in this case, we can see more detail in terms of a more complex bill of material if that exists for these products. Through expanding this view, I've just selected the direct view, which just gives me 1 level down. So let's go 1 level down to this product over here that's a raw material item. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look from the bottom up, and at this level over here we'll have a raw material that has a requirement that is flown through from a finished good. So just think of the picture that we've created in terms of a structure here. You've got a raw material which has a dependent demand now, and you can see there's the raw material. It's linked through to all these finished good products. We were looking at the finished good product code 20003, which we can see has its requirements coming through there, and there we see the 2,600 required times the ratio on the 1st of July as we saw in the other screen, and you can see the total demands coming through for this product from all its finished goods. And you can see that total requirement at the top here in the B row this time, where sales and forecast would have been in the S and the F row. We have the bill of material in the B row. Remember, the warehouse requirements for stores was in the W row. So you can see now in terms of this picture, you've got a discrete demand stream. And this demand stream, as I said earlier, is linked all the way through to the requirements and the planning happening at the store level. So if something happens at a store and there's a big requirement over there, that changes the requirement on the central warehouse, which changes the requirement through the bill of material structure on the raw materials, which makes it all a very reactive sort of model on that. Now that typically does happen inside an ERP system and an MRP calculation in the more advanced sort of ERP systems out there. What is really tricky though is finding out what has gone wrong. So if you have an ordering report coming out of these ERP systems that says go and buy 20,000 of a product at a raw material level, the question as to why to buy 20,000 is always quite a challenge to figure out, especially if you think it's a lot more, a lot less than what's required. Remember here, the diagnostics is a lot easier. You might find this item on a dashboard saying go buy a lot, or it's a potential stock out, and from there we immediately would come into this view here of the inventory inquiry, see why there's a requirement, go through, identify as part of a bill of material, drill down into the table view and say, well, why is there a big requirement for an order on this product right now? And if I just go and sort on any of the columns, let's say June had a big order, I could go sort in descending order, and I can say, well, this one product over here has a whole bunch of periods that is pushing a requirement through. Let me explore the detail now more into that one, and really all I'm doing is clicking and pointing and drilling into more and more detail about the product. So in a simple terms, that's really how the bill of material structure and the central warehouse structures hang together. It's a great additional feature here and allows you very quickly to identify what's going on in terms of a bill of material and central warehouse structure, but more importantly links the right demand streams to each other and links this puzzle together without you having to do really complicated calculation and a lot of guesswork. So I hope that's been useful.